coming after, Steerman.
Let's go. Sailor! Sing us a song.
Only one sire have I served before hailing you. Now your scar is worn by time, and I wish not serve. Faithful to my king, never know.
Bring the sail in!
Next time, heathen! Hail on, father!
Run up the sail! Now is not the time.
Use the oars! No sail!
Look! Strike up a tune. Raise the mast.
Generous.
I had an odd friend when I was a boy. His name was Nori. And by the gods, that boy could lie. Told us his father traded with the elves. Told us he had kissed sweet Hannah. Said he had seen a giant in the woods. Well, one day we decided we would see about him. So we dared him to take us to the place he saw the giant. He twisted and turned, but at last he agreed. The thing is, I had been out there already. I had taken up a big rock and made footprints in the soft earth. Heels and toes.
Save it for later. Run up the sail! All right, back to the story.
I had taken up a big rock and made footprints in the soft earth. Heels and toes. Giant's feet. When he saw those prints, he went white as a virgin's breeches. Everyone made out they were scared. And then... Who's that walking through my wood? I howled from the trees, and I thrashed the branches all around. Nori screamed like a maiden and took to his heels. By the smell of it, he emptied his arse on the way. He told us afterwards he knew it was a trick, but he never did go near those woods again.
Set the sail out! Let's have a song.
If you have a hearken well in Hall of Kings. On ocean steed my words gain wing. Loathing's mead I thought will bring.
This area is off limits.
Who'll share a tale?
I often wonder who deserves it. The largest cup of mead at the feast. Valka because she heals? The chosen dynasty of Styrbjörn's sons? Or Bragi who sits on a throne of his own here on this river scheme? Should he get his ale before we all drink? Or do our lips all hit the mug at the same time? This brings to mind an old myth, no longer told, of Olaf, the mead blood. His mead was too good, always to drink it. But none knew that his secret ingredient was a tiny dram of ox blood. That one day, he decided to feed a sip of mead to his favored ox. Yet the blood he used for that batch was his own. It is only fair, he said. But this angered the Jarl Thorgnar, who wanted the quaff of the mead before the generous animal. To avoid serving his own blood, Olaf served ordinary mead. But it was bland and Thorgnar spit it to the floor. Olaf was ashamed. He left then and never returned. Olaf's story died in those bland cups of mead. There is a hidden lesson here, of course. I will leave it to you to work it out for yourselves.
Hush now. Well, you're at the good part yet.
I often think on Estrid in my time in Essex. I was almost a year younger, and more foolhardy then. Once, the sight of her filled me with tempest. But those storms have calmed now. She did not giggle nor swoon like many girls I know. Wit was her weapon. She could unman you with one swipe of her tongue. But such grace, such light. Freya herself would not step with such elegance. Her gaze blinded me. Her words cut me down, raised me up, made me a wolf, a lamb, a babe, a sage. Wiser men than me have been made fools by love. But not all of them take the lesson from it that I have. When I marry, I will take an equal. No more, no less. A woman worthy of me, as I will be of her.
Soma of Grantebridge. For a time, all the eldermen of England wanted her dead. A bounty on her head the size of Yggdrasil. So she met with the leader of the South Gerwins and told their king Roth, "Say that you killed me. Proclaim it to all of the lands." Roth answered, "No one will believe me." And Soma shook.
Hold on, good Skell.
Roth answered, "No one will believe me." And Soma shook her head. "Invite them. Here. Burn me a fire for all to see." So they came, the nobles of East Anglia, north and south of Mercia, Wessex. They wished to see Guthrum's Valkyrie die. Before all, King Rough pronounced her guilty of murder and sentenced her to death. Then they put her on a boat and set it afire. Yet Soma had constructed a trap beneath the pyre. She released herself into the murky waters and swam to a bramble. Muddy and wet, she waited in the thorns for night to fall. She then returned to Cambridge as a shadow walker. She entered the city and stole into the king's chamber and took the head of Rough, shouting, "Traitors of Soma, wear no heads!" The Saxons thought Soma a ghost, a spirit who kills, a curse invincible to fire and death. What a leader, my Soma.
Did I tell you about the time I pretended to be a goat? I am no stranger to the company of others' wives. But there was one beautiful wren, married to an old blind Alwyn. I could not resist her. So when he fell asleep, ale-addled by the fire, she let me visit her most private chambers. She was a chirping songbird, but I was a braying buck, rousing the dead in my ecstasy. At the moment of glory, the old man burst in on us, waving his crop. He struck me on the arse and I gave a yelp. "Who's there?" he cried. But my girl was quick of wit and knew her husband well. She convinced old blind Alwyn it was not a man in a room, but his prize goat, escaped from its pen. He dragged me by the hair, down on all fours to the barn, where he bolted it fast. I spent the night lying in straw and shit. Still, the best night of my life.
We need an epic tale.
Unar the Ugly was an excellent sailor who could pilot a longship entirely on his own. This is why King Sigvaldi kept him around. In all other matters, Unar was a cruel, anxious, and humorless man. He was one of the most unlikable people I have ever known. One year, I recall we had invited some Carls from the Yngling clan to dine with us. As we were serving ale, we came to find that we had none left. It so happened that the ale had run out just before reaching Unar's hall. This raised in him a word storm, and he accused Sigvaldi of treachery. Every man in the longhouse jeered at Unar for raising such a fuss. This made Unar angrier than before, and he stormed out. A short time later, we heard him yelling through the door of the hall. "I set this scorn pall upon the men of Yngling for their dishonor!" We looked outside and saw that Unar had severed one of the heads of the Yngling's horses and stuck it upon a hazel branch. When he saw us gathering at the door, the Yngling Carls among us, Unar panicked and ran. He was not seen for many months.
My first day defending the walls of Brantebridge, my duty was defense. I had asked for this task myself. As I patrolled the walls, I sang and banged my shield against the ribs of the walls. I woke half the camp with my wailing. I sang from the eddies as Gallon, Leaf, and Soma threw rocks at me. They thought me too frivolous. Until the day I caught a spy. Some filthy shadow walker trying to rob us. Of what? Only Loki knows. Gallon killed him before he could be tried. My point is, always be loud. Act a fool. Be a nuisance. It is your greatest defense. For the less your enemy thinks of you, the more he thinks you a fool, the more likely he is to make a grave error. We are here to stay, are we not? Heed my advice, and you will live a long, long time.
Is there a sea skull among you?
There is no more epic a tale than the story of how I found my ship. Glorious fire ship. Remember her? It was a surprise. I was piss-drunk one night, could barely stand, and up comes this young upstart Dane, fresh off a lucky raid, to fight me, challenged to a brawl. He was thirsting for a bruising for no reason I could see.
Tail!
I warned him off, gave him a chance to...
We got them there.